Good evening.
Sir, there is another video, sir. Just for
Okay.
A world free of bias means that we can reach the higher levels of a diverse, equal world by connecting all those wires. Wires that have an electric current running through them allows us to be those positively charged particles. And we, together, are going to break the bias so that we forever will no longer fear fighting for better. There is a bias to be broken. My dream of an equal world is what I have awoken from, and I know that it's something that can become true, as the world is a living photograph saturated with diversity and hues. I march and I strive, with my head held high as a woman, and us women will not be pinned down nor weighed down by anything, no matter how hard that anything tries. We all have different stories. We take each day as it comes, by painting the picture, by writing the literature, to be shared with the world. We will choose to challenge, and we will break the bias, and find strength and pump our tires and drive down the open road by taking the steering wheel. We'll rise up from our heels until it is love, confidence and everything positive that we feel, and until our stories are revealed to the world. Because this is us. We're born to be leaders and born to be great. So let's continue to create our stories in a world where we no longer fear fighting for better.
Good evening, Dr. Parul. You can start the deliberations.
Okay, sir. Okay. Good evening to all, and after wonderful videos, we'll just start the session without wasting time. I welcome Dr. Gajendra. Welcome, sir, for the session, and I welcome Ms. Swati Chawla. I'll quickly introduce her, and then we'll not waste much of the time and start with her talk, because I myself is looking forward to, her words of wisdom. Ms. Swati Chawla, she's a psychologist, Assistant Vice President, UIB Insurance Brokers India Private Limited, winner of BW 40 Under 40, National and International Awardee. She's a Master in Counseling Psychology and Sociology. She also holds a post-graduation diploma in NGO Management. Diploma in Training and Development, and Certificate in DEI. Swati has an experience of over 16 years in psychology, workplace safety and well-being, training and development, corporate social responsibility, diversity, equity and inclusion, innovation and strategy, research and studies. Strong believer of catch the disease before it catches you, and the healthier than happier employees are basis of successful organizations. She prefers using traditional and modern science to help facilitate healing. She has strategically curated wellness program for more than 500 corporates. She believes passionately in the power of authentic, caring leadership to transform our organization and our lives. Her expertise and passion are in people strategy, leadership, change, and building highly engaged workplace cultures. She has helped organizations. Okay. She has helped organizations creating a culture of wellness, inclusion, and responsible employee towards environment and society, creating a purpose of life. And this last thing, building stronger, happier, and more engaged individuals in the workplace by curating experiences that empower people and unlock their potential, building employee resource groups across gender, race, LGBTQIA networking, and driving culture change through continuous reinforcement, repetition of mitigating unconscious biases. And the last point was my favorite probably. So I'm looking forward to hear great words of wisdom from you. Over to you, Ms. Swati.
Before Dr. Swati, you start your deliberation, let me welcome all the participants. And first of all, I extend my good wishes on this International Women's Day to all of you. And in this since morning, we have been receiving so many messages. And one of the very good catchy message which I felt I must quote is the Happy Women's Day to Alexa and Siri. These are the only two women who always take orders from the men, never say no. So with these few words, I welcome all of you. This is our 97th issue of our webinar, which we are conducting for last almost 2 years when the COVID sets in. And every Saturday we used to meet, and over these 2 years we have been every Saturday deliberating over some important issues. So again, today's issue is very, very important, and breaking the biases is really very important, as the biases start right from the home into the society, at workplace, and at everywhere. So with these few words, I again welcome you all, and I hand over to Dr. Swati Chawla for the deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Parul and Dr. Kumar, for inviting me for this session. And I think what better date for today to kind of come and join us, join you for the special session, especially on the International Women's Day. And such an apt topic for today is break the barriers, right? And break the biases. So for today's session, as we are looking at, we have emotional resilience, key to overall well-being, and that's how we're gonna go ahead with this session. Before I move ahead with this session, there are two things that I would want to take you. One, I want this session to be very interactive one, not just that I'm putting up my slides and we are just looking at those slides, okay? I am looking at a lot of participation, so please look out for, if possible, if you can open up your mics, or you can put it on the chats, any discussion, any interaction, any comments that you feel during the session. Secondly, I will talk about majorly two topics. One is emotional resilience, not just for myself as a woman, also how I can take mental resiliency, how I can make workplace more mentally resilient. So that's another thing that we will cover in this topic. So very, very warm welcome everyone yet again, and very happy International Day. Women's Day. Okay, and if you look at my first slide, it talks a lot, right? Probably if I have to portray something on mental resiliency 2 years back, before 2019, it would have been very different. The poster on the right-hand side is something really talks now about how resilient we have probably become after these COVID pandemic. And I'm sure everybody would agree to this. And if you all are there on the chat, please let me know if you agree with this, that last 2 years have actually made us much more resilient than actually ever we could have thought of, right? So if you agree with it, can we have yes, 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 yes on the chat box, or if we have Y for yes and for no, that can also be a parameter, right? So to move ahead, if you look at this entire figure, which thinking about COVID, having this pandemic, and not so much so that even the COVID pandemic, even today, has left us with many, I would say, images, many thoughts even in our mind. If you look at this poster or the graphic, it has something related to COVID in that mind itself. Not just about protecting ourselves, not just about balancing work life, having a laptop on the laps, having COVID all around, and yet we all actually stood very strong during this COVID times. And actually, I personally say that COVID has actually is the best teacher, because I think they have taught us a lot of things which probably entire age would not have taught us, right? And if you keep agreeing, you can put it on the chat box, because I would like to, have a kind of interactive communication. Okay, to move ahead, yes, we are talking about mental resiliency, and I think it's extremely important topic right now. And why we are talking about mental resiliency? Because of the basic facts that are increasing and also on our own rise. We talk about diabetes, we talk about cardiovascular diseases, we talk about cancer, we talk about gynecologists, reproductive health on Women's Day. Where is it that we talk about on mental well-being on specifically on Women's Day? Right? So some basic fact which really deserve to be discussed and this topic. And I'm sure it is more than 40 seconds that we have spoken right now. And every 40 seconds, somebody commits suicide in this world. And this is some astonishing thoughts and astonishing facts that are there. And it is not mine, it is WHO's facts that has been displayed. And 17% of these suicides comes from India. And that's a huge number. We probably have, we have almost approximately 8 lakh deaths happen, and 8 lakh suicide happens, across. And 17%, is a huge number that happens. Very interesting study yet again is, this was, I still remember 2008 when I started my career most likely. And I had this in 2009, February Times of India article, which said that by 2020, depression is going to be the second largest illness in the world. We talk about cardiac, we talk about diabetes, we talk about cancer, we talk about pneumonia, we talk about lung health. But depression is something that is catching very slowly, silently, under, and we always, the most difficult part with the mental health is that we don't talk about it. And that's the more need coming in. And I'm sure by depression, when we talk about by 2020, it's already gone, it's 2022, and we definitely see a high rise in depression, and specifically in corporate. There's another study that ASSOCHAM said that they did it in the corporate sector, and they found that 42.5% of corporate employees are suffering from depression. And even more serious thing is that we think that people above 35, people above 40 are the ones who are actually going to be suffering from any kind of well-being perspective issues or any medical disorders or diseases. However, we look at this number of depression, it's 20 to 29 years of category, which has a 50% of this chunk. And we need to understand, not for just ourselves, for our people around, for our companies and organizations, what is it that we can do? What is the need of the hour is actually about the wellness. And apart from this, it's not just stays here because COVID and had come in, and sudden pandemic that has come in. It also shows that how vulnerable we were, and in the beginning of, just when pandemic had started in India, we have seen a huge rise in mental health disorders, up to 40% rise immediately. If you look at this graph, there was 88% of workers reported experience moderate to extreme stress over the 4 to 6 weeks. We found that 62% noted loses at least 1 hour of productivity thinking about pandemic, thinking about stress, anxiety, or future. And of course, there is 18% were unable to unplug after work. Why are we talking about COVID? Because now COVID has become an area which will be part of our lives forever. This era, I'm pretty sure a lot of us would have gone through this scenario. Either us, we would have been, gone through COVID, or our dear ones, or a lot of us are going through bereavement. We would have lost somebody in our families. We would have some of us would have stayed in hospitals, right? And we would have seen all of these traumatic events that have happened across, and this specifically led to a lot of post-traumatic stress disorders, which now mental health fraternity is trying to, train more people to kind of get people into, a better way of dealing with bereavement and PTSD. And this entire COVID situation, there of course there has been stages of grief and bereavement, but we need to understand, as for ourselves and for our employees or organizations, that our people would be going through all of this silently somewhere. And here also the role of not just for ourselves to become more resilient, but also to make our organization more mentally, I would say psychological safe organization, where employee is not hesitant or resistant to talk about mental well-being, or very, very open and approachable to their managers and telling them that, sir, I probably not feeling well today because, I am going through a mental disorder or mental stress, and I would need, some time for me to refresh. I totally believe these stigmatization of mental health is so huge that even employee feel very unsafe to kind of come up with and say that I am feeling stressed, or I have, I'm moving towards emotional setback. More so over, the women folk are even further more stressed. If we look at certain more stats and facts, multiple of two, women now are more prone to depression. They are more prone to attempt suicide. It is also seen from the study of Pittsburgh. We also see that women are more they are more likely to develop depression, right? Not because of, of course, of mentally as well, but also there are some physical stresses that a woman goes through. One, of course, during her menstruation, as well as on the menopausal or postpartum depression. It's more available that the women are more prone to stress and depression, and it's even more important for a woman to have a more resilient self. Um, and as in an Indian society, we also feel, again, I think we should break this bias now, but we also see that women is, a person who drives the family. So if a woman in a family is seen into stress, if seen into depression or seen into anxiety, it's directly or indirectly impacting the entire family. And of course, if it is combined with the stress and the pressure at the workplace, it's sometimes it becomes even more difficult for the women to bounce forward. Right. And another fact on the right hand side, it's a clipping from Times of India, which again talks about, how women are suffering or want to more during the lockdowns and COVID time periods. One more issue that I would want to like to bring in the women and mental health frame was anorexia and bulimia. These are body image issues. These are disorders of body and self-image. And in the times of today, when we are talking about society, when we talk about social media, which is a huge rise in today's time, then not even a single woman would actually put and click a very ugly picture of themselves. And I'm sure, I hope people on the call would agree on this, that a lot of us and even male also, right? Even men, or even for matter anyone. I don't think people would ever put a very bad or an ugly or grieving pictures. Rather than they would obviously put a mask and kind of portray themselves as perfections, right? And women has more tendency to portray themselves as perfect, because they feel that if you are perfect, then you are seen, you are valued more, your worth goes up, and hence these entire body image in anorexia and bulimia, in the eating disorders, really go high. It's very traumatic to see, sometimes patients when they come. It's a very simple thing. They eat too much, and then they try and vomit out. And I'm sure a lot of would know about what anorexia and bulimia is, but it is a sad state where women image themselves as not very perfect and very beautiful, and how they should ideally be. My question is, who actually put these questions up, who draw these lines that this is perfect beauty and this is not? And there is that thin line where we have to break that biases, that there is no definition of beauty. The definition of beauty is for unique for everyone, and it is about how we feel ourselves, how the confidence is there in us. It's not about how we look. And kind of, every time in the social media we see a lot of people comparing each other. uh, Now when we talk about women health, it's a combination of stress, right? When we talk about stress, it's also about when the stress is not handled and balanced like this, it continues. And I always say it's like empty your glass every day. Extremely important that if we keep filling up water in a glass, it will spill one day, it will burst out someday. But what is it that we have to do? We have to, it is like emptying our glass every day. We have to empty and clear our mind every day to have a long persistent resilience. So for that, I think when we talk about stress, we talk about anxiety, we talk about depression, there are certain signs and symptoms we need to watch out for. I will quickly take this through. I think you, not just for yourself, I think for your near dear ones, you should also watch out for your employees. When there is a long absence of an employee, or there is a very close productivity which is just going down and down, and they have no idea about why this productivity is going low. Maybe that employee was very, very efficient in the beginning, but slowly and gradually his productivity is losing up to, right? So look out for these four different sets and categories of signs and symptoms. To start with cognitives. If there is a lack of concentration, the person is not able to concentrate. There is a lot of forgetfulness. You probably have told some initiative to be done with them, and suddenly he would say, come back and say, okay, I am not remember what you really said. There will be suicidal ideations. Very important. A lot of us, probably you would see across, a lot of people would mention about suicidal ideations. How? They will say that, I would want to prepare my will, or I would want to, what if I go away, what will happen then? If there is no medical issue or terminal ill issue, people, if talk any related to any kind of a suicidal ideation, we have to get alert with this. There is something behind the mind which is thinking of why the thoughts of suicide is coming. There is something that is behind the behind the mind. Negative thinking. Every scenario, the thoughts are always negative. There is no just no ray of any kind of a hope. There is no positivity. Criticism, self-criticizing all the time, that this probably is not right. I'm not good enough. I can't work enough. I am not working hard. I can't balance my work life. I'm not able to handle my family. I'm not able to handle my kids, etc. Look out for physical symptom. If there is a persistent headaches that are coming in, there is sweating, dry mouth, back pains, sleep disturbance. I would highlight here a lot of stress in the during times in work from home situation. Also, a lot of time people have a lot of insomnia. There is a lot of sleeplessness which has come in, and that is now prolonged with the COVID, post-COVID symptoms as well. So we need to understand that if there is a sleep disturbance and it is continuous and it is turning into an insomnia, we should definitely look out for how to treat with that, because it's one of the biggest signs. And if insomnia is treated well, and if you're, having a good sleep, that is a healthy sign of even of having a lesser stress now. Stomach or problem, lack of energy, sexual issues, rapid breathing, these are all physical symptoms. Being on the behavioral side, avoiding, acting impulsively, procrastinations, not responding to certain situations, and emotionally is irritability, unhappiness, constant shame, guilt, boredom. These are the signs to look out for. When we talk about all of these signs and symptoms, a lot of time we feel that they are overlapping, right? So when we talk about it is overlapping, some symptoms will be very common for both anxiety and depression, right? If there is so I very simply put, when people ask me what is the big difference between anxiety and depression, I always say that anxiety is the fear of future, right? Anxiety is and being anxious about what is going to happen. It is not seen, it is not known. But depression is something, it is the guilt, and it is the stress of the past. It is the problem of the past, and anxiety is the problem of future, right? Too much tension and being involved into that, and not allowing ourselves to deal in a normal daily life. And if this is hampering your daily routine, that then it will become an issue, right? I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes, you
Yes,
are.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Perfect, perfect. And you also should, you should also see and relate to yourself in case you are finding these symptoms very known to you, right? Maybe you will see sometimes what happens, we don't see ourselves, right? Very simple tip that I tell people to do is, the silence is your best teacher. When you are silent and when you are mum, you will see that there is a racing thoughts that happens in the back of your mind. I very, and I hope you all agree with it. When you are more silent, that is the maximum noise that the mind makes, right? And how much you agree, you can put it on the chat box saying yes, 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 because I think that's the time when you're thinking about things in your life, and that is the time that you are understanding and dissecting your life. And that is the time, if you know what is the thought, what is the flavor of your thoughts. Is it too negative, is it too positive? Are you thinking something which is unrealistic? Are you thinking about that you're losing interest in life? What is the theme of that talk happening in your back of mind? And it is a beautiful way of knowing. And and that time you just write the thoughts that are coming in your mind. Write down what is the feeling behind those thought also. So for example, if I may feel, yeah, I'm doing very well in my job, but probably am doing well, but I'm probably not happy because that is not of my interest, and it is a forced job that I'm doing, right? So you need to understand what are your thoughts, and plus what are the flavor of that thought. Is it too negative or is it too positive, right? Along with that, when we see a common symptoms, I think I will not repeat it further again, but I think it's about somatic complaints that are common. It's restlessness, agitation, appetite going berserk. It is too low, too high, or had increased. There are a lot of emotional eating in women. I must have to admit that there are a lot of times that women eat emotionally, and we call it as emotional eating. Whenever we feel low, we take a lot of sweet chocolates, etc. And that somewhere, if not controlled, that leads to a weight gain, and it's a vicious cycle. Then if it is a weight gain, then we come into a body image, self-confidence goes down, and we start feeling, okay, we are not worthy, we are not more attractive, etc. And that becomes a vicious cycle. So we need to understand that we have to break the cycle. As I said, empty your glass every day, right? I will also display this a very small survey that is on an open link. It is by Silcher and Watson. As an organization, you can also kind of look at it and can do it for yourself first. It talks about you can rate yourself as to 1, 2, 3, 4 against each question, and then calculate it, and you will see how resilient right now you are. And if you are not resilient enough, then what is it that we can do further for ourselves, right? So this is another, I would say, a kind of and this is just one sample of resiliency coping scale that we have. There are many other on the internet, as well as you can probably, if you want to do it for your organization, you can have a copyright and you can buy them and you can conduct those surveys. And when we do this survey, for at least for this, we say that low resilient coper, medium resilient copers, or high resilient. So here, high resilient copers are good people. I've not said good, I should not make that bias, but I think they are more resilient to deal with problems in life and to bounce back. So resiliency is nothing but how you deal with your stress on the daily basis and how you bounce back from an adversity. Do you take a lot of time? I will just quote a very personal, an incident where I think resiliency really makes sense to resilient people. I was in a COVID hospital for a month. And I think the kind of situation I've seen in the hospital with daily CPRs giving in front of me, daily people, are on the beds, going, dying. I could resist that. I could deal with that because I was a psychologist and I feel that I was more resilient. I could manage those situations and I could motivate myself to move out of those situations. Right. So I think resiliency is the key for overall well-being. And that is what I always believe. Overall well-being is definitely is the key, right? Physical wellness, social wellness, physical wellness, all of this would work. But if you are mentally resilient, then you can also overcome your physical diseases or disorder or stress, right? Now I will just have one simple question. I think I would have done this activity, but no matter. I want people on this call to rate. If you have to rate 5 most important people in your life, 5 most important people in your life, who will that be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who are those 5 most important people in your life? I will just take a pause here. I want you to reflect on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 most important people in your life. Your family is not a person, so you have to really be specific. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who are your most resilient people? I will just take a pause here and I would want you to reflect on this question. And if you are able to, I would love to see those chat on the chat box also. Who are your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 most resilient people? Right. And I'm sure when people are thinking this, I want to understand how many of you would have kept yourself as number 1? How many of you would have kept yourself as number 1 in importance in life? We ideally, and I do a lot of sessions, and I see a lot of people not putting themselves into that priority of yourselves, right? And that is where the first step of wellness starts. The well-being starts from you. Even if I am a medical officer, or I am an HR, or I am a manager, or I am a leader, or I am a CEO, the well-being starts from me. If I am healthy, I can make my organization healthy. If I am well, I can create that wellness space for my team, right? So when I very politely say, it's a one of the lines from a friend of mine, and she always says that it is not about being selfish, it's about self-ish. So ish in English means love, right? So it's not about being selfish. If you put yourself as number 1, it's not about being selfish. It's about loving yourself unconditionally, where you put yourself as number 1. So very quickly, I will take you through what is that very in layman's language. And I think wellness starts with very basics. Before we get very too much into complicated mental health issues and conditions, I think it's very important to go with the basic things. When the basics are right, very simple things are done, you automatically have a lot more things to kind of look into You don't go into details because you manage things with the simple things, right? Work-life balance is extremely important. I always say that it's easy to say, is difficult to practice, but I think you should account your day, and it's not about yourself. Of course, you should, as a research also says that 20 minutes per day individuals should spend themselves alone, talking to themselves, having their conversation, doing some meditation, or doing something that they love, right? Not just that, I think family time is very important in this day when everybody has a mobile, everyone sitting in the same room, looking into their own mobiles but not talking to each other. I think these are certain things which are very simple. We know about it, but we don't act upon it. I would just say a very simple time together where we all are sitting, and an organization also. Sometimes, as an organization, just have a session, not a meeting, right? I would say just a session, just a talk session with your team members, and just ask about how their days have been. What is it that they are, in their lives going on? What is their short-term goals? You will see an immense change in your team bonding. It's just one half an hour or 20-minute session where you're just talking non-working issues, and you will see how this magic creates. And as I say, when you account your finances, I think you should account your time, because that's the most precious thing. So accounting your day, not with just for yourself, not with your teams, along with your family, along with your children, along with yourself, but also with your spouse. I have noticed in my times that a lot of people would delete a time with their spouse. I think it is extremely important that we do not leave our partners away. It is very important that, I understand that finally your family and your partner become very, very important to you. Your family and your children become very important to you, and you just ignore this. We start unconsciously, we start ignoring our partners. And I think that's something very important. The fire should not fade away, right? I think that's another way, because I think that is also have seen how divorce rates are also increasing because the spouse time is reduced hugely, right? Second is eliminating negativity. Eliminating negativity is could be just about having to take a decision about what is it negative. So there will be always two kind of thoughts coming in your mind. It could be positive, it could be negative. The negative, there will be always be a negative thought comes in your mind. So there is a research which says there's almost 60,000 thoughts come in a day. And if 60,000 thoughts are coming in your day, it will be keep talking in your minds, right? We need to understand, and that is where the meditation works. And when we talk about intro to meditate, here the meditation works. The negative thought will come. And while we meditate, why do we meditate? When we meditate, we focus on one thing. We try and focus on one thing, and that helps us to give just an experience of what is happening around. It creates an awareness. So once the negative thought is coming, you are aware that, oh, this is negative, and you try and mold it into positive. If people say that it is positive, I don't think positive thought will come automatically. You will have to create a space, and you will have to make an effort to change those thoughts into positive. It's very natural for us that our thoughts will be negative, and our focus will be more drawn towards negative things rather than positive. Affirmations, I practice it a lot. I think making a positive affirmations is another very practical things that happens, and that will yes, and that's how when you need to. So affirmation will also always have to be in a current present state. It is not that I would want to lose a weight. This is not a positive affirmation. Affirmation would be I am healthy and normal. See what subconscious, if you choose to say I want to lose weight, you never know, your subconscious will be accepting that as losing weight, and your mind doesn't know how much weight do you need to lose, right? So we have to be very specific, very positive, and in current state. So we have to take things in saying that we have to be in a positive manner. So affirmations, there are a lot of positive affirmations available on the net that can help you. Gratitude, I think there's always a saying that our grandparents used to say, start a day with the positivity by praying and end the day with, saying thanks to the God and sleep. And why it is said that it's a very important aspect, which is say hypnotic state. Our mind goes twice in a hypnotic state, just before we sleeping and just before we are getting up. Those two times of the brain and the mind are the most powerful of the day. And there is where we have to infuse a lot of positivity, and that is where the culture of God prayers comes in, where you are thanking Lord for the things that we have. Right. So in gratitude, you can do it in two manners. One is, of course, writing a journal, or putting writing a jar, right? So putting in your slips of what I thank today and fill this jar. This activity is also very powerful for children. And I think you can also have your family jar. And when someday you probably open up this jar and pick up these slips, you would wonder how beautiful these thoughts would come in. Whenever you feel a little low, just open up 3-4 slips from this gratitude jar and you will see the magic, how it shifts your emotion and how it shifts your feelings suddenly. Writing, why we always say that gratitude is, of course, you can always say also. But when you write something positive, it ingrills more into your subconscious. And it will also says that, write 21 times so that, the mind has a specific repetition of that, and it becomes like a neural pathway. Never give up. I think we talked a lot, and I think here I will always say that whenever you feel that there is something which you are not able to cope, I think extremely important to reach out. It is extremely important for organizations also to have an EAP partner, an emotional, an employee assistance program, where they have or they can help employees into talking about their mental health. I understand that HR would play a lot major role, but Indian situation, or probably even globally, I have seen people do not open to HRs very openly, right? Because they fear they will open to the managers and they will lose the job. Hence, the suggestion here is to have a dedicated wellness team in your organizations. Also, when you have an EAP partner, it becomes very easy for employee to go and talk because of the confidentiality clause, because of the legalities that they will not be sharing any confidential details to the organization. So it becomes very easy for employees to kind of come back and talk about their feelings. And this somewhere helps. You never know how many people you actually save lives of by having and providing very dedicated mental health services. Right. Also, we need to look out for these signs and symptoms. I suggest organizations to have a kind of a training programs where employees are being informed about that. If you see any of these signs and symptoms, you probably either you should be alert, or your manager should be alert, or your employee colleagues should be alert. For example, a manager see that a person is always absent and they're not feeling well, and they irritated and they bounce back on the, if they are saying something, then there must be something. Focus on any of these issues and make a step forward right away, because this could actually save somebody's life. Meditate. I did mention that there is a lot about meditation, and when you meditate, it's actually help in resiliency. A lot of people talk about it. Since I also believe in alternate therapies and therapeutic interventions, I strongly feel that meditation is one of the biggest medicine that can help not just dealing with stress, but also ensuring that you have control over your thoughts. I always say, don't let your thought control you. You control your thoughts. Right? It's very simple. Don't let your thought control you. You control your thoughts. Right? And that's where the meditation comes in, where it makes your brain and mind practice on focusing and controlling your thoughts. As I even earlier talk about the sleep patterns, and I think insomnia is something which is extremely important. Watch out for your sleep patterns. Look at what is your sleeping patterns. Is it breaking in the middle? Is it breaking? Are you not able to sleep at all? Or, after lying down hour, or it is breaking in the middle, or you are getting up too early and not falling asleep. Sleep disturbance have seen a huge rise in after the pandemic. And few things that you can do to avoid it. One, try and avoid any kind of electronics in your rooms, right? When you have electronics like a TV or television or it does interfere in your sleeping patterns. At least half an hour before, you should not smoke, because smoking is activating your thing and you would want to sleep. So opposite actions cannot work, right? So that is how you need to balance electronics, mobile phones, completely switching off, keeping it on side. If you can't switch off, at least keep it at the other side, not on the same bed, not under the pillow, not under the bedside, right? And I think, of course, when you sleep before, just a little warm shower, or if not entire shower, just a little warm, hands wash and a face wash with a little warm water would help. Or milk will help to induce your better sleep. And of course, as it says in Munna Bhai MBBS, it's a chemical lota. Yes, smile and laughter is something that can help. You activate endorphins, which is a good hormone. And there is such a simple thing that you can do. If not nothing, just watch. And I'm sure I don't want to increase your screen time, but do look at something which is comedy, or create a joke, or have a laughter exercises, or have a meditation that helps you laugh. Again, there is a pattern needs to be followed. And it definitely works. It definitely works. There is also one of the research which talks about how laughter can be helpful in the cancer patient as well. So it has that kind of medicinal effect, right? So apart from that, and now I will just quickly take you through. I will just pause here if there are any questions. Otherwise, I'll just take you through very simple things that you can do for your organization and building a very resilient organization. Do we have any questions? Otherwise, I will just go through this last slide and then I can take the questions.
Please go ahead. We will take questions in the last.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so when we talk about, this is about building your own resiliency as a leader, as a manager, as a woman, as a man. We have to be resilient. If we are resilient, as I said, our teams will be resilient. Our organization can be resilient. So when I talk about creating your organization resilient, since I'm a wellness leader and an expert in this, the first step is to create a wellness survey. You need to understand, like a training need analysis that is done. We also need to do a wellness needs survey. Create an awareness sessions on the things that are, needs to be addressed. EAP tie-ups is extremely important these days. If not, there are also government helpline numbers that are available. If not, we can circulate those, right? Or if not, we can have awareness sessions where you can have a tie-up with an organizations to give a discounted sessions, etc. Invest in an in-house clinical team. I truly respect people. I do understand, as I said, the HR department is looked in a manner that any complaint goes to them will be threatening for their job. And here I would suggest, if you have a different clinical team and put it into a wellness, people are more comfortable. People can reach out to you very, very well. I have seen this experience. I have created that difference. I know that this works. Close monitoring of the employees' behaviors, as I said, long leave, absenteeism, sudden demises in the family, bereavement cases, COVID impacted post-traumatic disorder now will be on rise. You have to be watch out for. There are some trainings that can help build wellness in your organization. Unconscious bias. A lot of time, it's very natural to have a lot of biases. Like the theme today is also break the bias. There is bias and there will be biases because it is our minds are conditioned in that manner. However, this kind of a session do give an insight to a lot of people because they unconsciously actually make those biases, right? Mental health awareness sessions, SPOSH trainings, these are certain trainings that can help build more awareness and support system for the people. Committee for the mental health issues, if you feel that you have a very, you have people in diversity sector where you feel that they need kind of a support. Let's be very honest, India is not that open to LGBTQ, thanks to a lot of pride things that are coming in and the diversity initiatives that runs. And so have a kind of a committee which helps and community building, internal community building upon these parameters. Support groups that will be there to kind of have and listen to each other. Pillars for mental health resiliency, there can be just mental wellness, or you would want to have a holistic well-being. It's up to the organization and how the wellness needs survey turns out to be. Is it physical wellness, social, emotional? If it is work from home, then the scenario completely changes, because you need more interactions now, because people have been so off that now they have become easy in those situations. So how we can bring them socially together? Then employee coaching. A lot of people I come up with have issues with their managers, and that affect their mental well-being. And I think those coaching sessions with an expert of the mental health psychologist, expert coach, that can also help in the organization. And last and not the least, a lot of L&D practice. Under the occupational or intellectual wellness, there is a lot of things that we can do under the learning and development. For example, just learning a foreign language is in itself. So we always believe that stress can be reduced by creativity. Doing something new will turn or give you direction to another level, right? So creativity, learning new things can also help you build up more and become more resilient. And I believe under COVID, a lot of people have done new things. They learned, they took a lot of degrees, they added on to their so those are certain things that you can help with your organization. And to summarize this, I bring in wellness in a very simple manner. Once these simple things are established in the organization and for self, if you feel that you still see those signs and symptoms, that I always say, it's always okay not to be okay sometimes. And if you feel so, please never hesitate in reaching out and taking some mental health help from the experts. The stigma time is over. The stigma time is over. There is no stigmatization on mental health. There are people who, talking about it. There are celebrities talking about it. Let's treat, and it is about us. If we believe that it is okay to take mental health experts and talking to them, only then we can create those organizations. If we don't believe in it, then it is very difficult for us to create those organizations also, right? So I always believe in the last that wellness is driven from the top management, the leaders, the vision, the culture is driven by the top leaders, and it flows to the ground. So with this, I will end my session today, and I will happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Swati. It was, very, very well presented talk. And deep inside, we all know all these things, but I think that somewhere or the other, we need to keep on reminding ourselves these things and have a systemic way of doing it, like your last slide. You really need to keep on reminding yourself the definition of what wellness actually stands for. Thanks a lot. And yes, I told in your introduction also, the LGBTQ part of that, we really need to sensitize a lot of people about that, which you also mentioned, that holds a very big part of mental health for organizations. Thanks a lot. Any questions? Sir, Dr. Gajendra, yes.
Yes, please. First of all, I congratulate Dr. Swati for such a wonderful talk on such an important issue. In fact, whatever you have said, you have made many things clear to us. But in two areas specifically, we in India, we are facing a lot of problems as an organization as well. Number one, there is shortage of clinical psychologists all across. So this is a very big problem which we are facing. And number two is that even almost everybody is judgmental. So especially people in this field, they need to be non-judgmental, and which it is very difficult to find a non-judgmental person in the hierarchy, in the organization, in the society, in the family, in the relatives. So these are the two very big problems, rather challenges which we are facing. So may I have your remarks on these two issues?
So first question I would like to answer, first, that definitely you're absolutely right. And it becomes very difficult for us as a psychologist, because the kind of pressures that we also face, because there are so many people. I have personally seen this kind of a rise in COVID. We have seen almost 150% rise in counseling sessions and for the organization, and it is just definitely difficult. So for that, there are two things that I would recommend for your organization. That first is that a lot of things need to be first at least catch. So we need to catch it to deal with it. So first is the training to the employees on mental health first aid. Right. So for example, if we do not have enough psychologists, at least the managers or your colleagues and peers are trained to understand that this is a mental health issue. And if we can pick it up from there, and then only we can give it to the psychologist. So psychologists are not doing that job on the ground, but we are training and certifying our employees, certain employees of our internal organization to do it. The second is certifying our own, teams very strongly on that. And the third is that we can also take help of a lot of automated processes. I like to, for first level, that there is a self-help questionnaires. As a chat bot, we can also use that. We can look out for automated portals where we are using chatbots, and that can also actually, deal with a little bit of pressure from there. So currently, I think these are the two things that I would recommend in the organization. One, of course, the certain level of trainings, and the chatbots. Sir, and your second question, if you can please repeat your second question.
See, most of the people all around, be in the family, in the society, at workplace, everybody is judgmental. So it's very difficult to find a non-judgmental people. So that creates a lot of problem as soon as the management of this mental health problem comes.
Absolutely, sir. I think that is why I said destigmatization of mental health is the first stepping stone. And here, when as a leader, if we start talking about it, see, first of all, we don't even talk much about it. Very small thing, Dr. Gajendra. I have seen organizations where leaders wants to hold a wellness programs, but they themselves would not come. Right? Even at the manager levels, they will say, okay, my juniors will come, but I don't have time for this. This is the first stepping stone of destigmatization, not just about mental health, but overall well-being as well. So I think, as I said, it starts with me. If I believe that this is important for my employees and I don't want to do just a tick mark thing, I need to go and step up and be on that platform and give that due respect to the wellness and say that no, wellness is important for me and it can be for you. And so I have worked with various organizations, and to a certain extent, we have involved a lot of leadership. I would just first, kind of talk about organization and how we can, break the bias and barrier. We talk a lot. We also talk to the people who have benefited it with. We feel that sometimes I don't think people will talk that I am benefited with mental health. But no, we have seen people coming up and talking about that it had helped me, it will help you. Show them live examples. So for example, we today also did a webinar where we bring two very inspiring stories. And they talked about how mental health helped them. So we have to bring in live examples to help people, accept this. I'm not saying this is overnight. It is not. It is not. But slowly and gradually, we have to create kind of a culture in the organization. From the family front, I am pretty sure if there is somebody in my family who's going through stress and depression, I will be aware. And if I'm aware, I think to save that person, I may not look for what people are going to say. I will say, okay, I need to take care of that person and we need to sort this out. Right? At that moment, if, for example, if somebody is dealing with some diabetes or cardiac arrest, we will not think that we cannot take him to the hospital. What people would say. Similarly, if we have somebody internal and we know that it is suicidal, we will take an action on that.
True.
That's all.
A very small question, very small question. And now with the change scenario, don't you feel there is a need for celebration of International Men Day?
Absolutely, sir. It is already there. It is there on the chart. I believe it's on 19th of November.
It is there, but it is in a very low this thing.
No, I think, sir, I think this is also, we have to break that bias that men also
Quite
need
right,
to be
quite right.
celebrated.
Agreed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Parul. You can take others.
Yeah, any other question? Anyone? Rajiv sir, anything?
My question is there in the chat box. You can.
Okay, I'll read out. Yes. Okay, tell us a little more on how to foster wellness. So, is that the question you are referring to?
I'm referring to the first comment that was there. people who have suffered major
Okay.
adversity
Major
from
adversity or
that.
trauma in their lives commonly experience emotional pain and stress. In fact, the road of resilience is likely to involve considerable emotional distress. How to handle this emotional distress, especially on a long-term basis?
This is a beautiful question, Doctor. And I think a lot of us would be, I mean, people who have lost people in this COVID, I think that is also another, area that we are dealing now with a lot of people coming in and talking about it. Trauma of any kind, right? Trauma for any kind, you have to experience that. Am I getting, is this, so a lot of people would get glimpse of those days back, right? Every night before they sleep, they suddenly get a flashback of that trauma, right? First of all, we need to check for ourselves, are we getting this traumatic issue coming back to us? How often is it coming back? How much it is disturbing our social life, our normal life? Is it hampering my daily life? If it is hampering your daily life, one should definitely go and get an evaluation done by a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist. If you think that this will continue and long term, it will fade away, it may not, right? Because it is trying to move towards a PTSD, which is called post-traumatic stress disorder. And if it is not treated now, it will in fact will go very deep-rooted, and it will be difficult for us to kind of treat that. So for a long-term disorders, I think there should be what I would suggest, there should be a clinical evaluation. If it is the same thing, then we should have and take a suggestion of a proper technical experience, clinical expert, and take the treatment forward.
Thank you, Ms. Swati. I think, I mean, in addition to that, I think even if if the PTSD component is because of anything, related to physical health, it's still it is easy to treat. In the sense, people will, like you say, that for diabetes or for any other thing, they will come and they will talk still. But the fear of judgment, not just about the mental health, reason of mental health issues behind. Somebody from the LGBTQ community, they will think 100 times to even come and talk to you. So as you say that probably the awareness, the neutral awareness sessions are important, that these are the things and you will not be judged. I think industries or workplace should focus on that, on the awareness session like this, that these are the things we cover, you will not be judged, so you can come and still talk. I think that's what Dr. Gajendra also was trying to say, that things are so judgmental around us. Yes.
I see why people are judgmental and why people fear, because they feel that they will not be accepted, right? And if organization coming forward and saying that, hello, we are an LGBT, diversity inclusive organization and we love people, I
Exactly.
think there will be a lot of people who would want to come and join that. The movement should create more and more acceptance in the organization, more and more, I would say, respect. I think that makes them to come forward and talk to you. And even as a manager, if I have to tell my team, I may be knowing from the back of the mind that probably he's from a LGBTQ and he probably or he should not want to come out of it. Then I will come and take him or her separately and I would say, I'm there for you. And, I certainly show, do those kind of conversation, which give them a lot of support.
Yeah. Sir, Tyagraj sir. Good evening, sir. Please continue. Sir, you're not audible. Are you on mute?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Madam, I have from beginning, I am just observing. It's a most wonderful talk. Very nice, very nice. Keep it up, and it is a really very good lecture what you have given. One thing suggestion I wanted to tell is, see, as a family physician, as in BEL, where I worked for 32 years, and now where I am practicing in Vidyaranyapura, we come across a lot of cases of diverse. In these diverse cases, we go to counseling also. We just listen the advocate as well as the judge, tell them to take their own time, at least 6 months, reconciliation and come back. What I have observed is, one example, what the lady given is, she has taken him, she is also working, the husband is also working. This husband has said that I have not seen Kashmir. So the lady has taken him to the Kashmir with her own money, everything. And when she asked him, how was our travel? This is the first time this gentleman is going by flight. This man is saying it is nothing but Dakota travel. She got an upset. She has spent so much money, but she has taken this husband, and this husband is telling how the journey means he has not complimented her for taking her the first time in life. He is around 43 years, and that madam is around 41. 43 years, even though he has not traveled in a flight, she has taken him. The husband has said it's just like a Dakota travel. Can you understand Dakota? It is an ordinary bus travel like she has taken him this one. So she said in a counseling, she said to the judge, sir, this is the reason he gives I think better we should divorce and have a happy life. That is the one case. And where I have come across, lot of people I have come across, wherever the husband comes to the hospital or goes to grocery shop or goes to marriage, if the wife accompanies him, there will not be any conflict in between them. Their life is very happy. This is my notification since 40 years. Wherever the husband goes, temple or to grocery to purchase or to some family marriage or to anything, the wife has to accompany him. Their life is so good. And whenever husband wanted to tell anything, he will clarify with his wife. Do you know that in which year it has happened? Like that, he asks, he gives a lot of importance to his wife. So these are all the one of the best thing to have a very good life in the husband and wife, and there should not be any diverse life. All these things which I have noticed in my clinic as a doctor. Thank you very much, madam. This is I just wanted to give you some info this one, and the lecture was very good, and I wanted to note down many points. I wanted to summarize madam's lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, doctor. Dr. Parul, you're on mute.
Sorry. Okay, so there are a few questions in the chat box. One is by Dr. Ghansham, how to improve in the employees' emotional quotient and quotient in organization, and in depression along with medications, meditation, etc. What else need to be done in order to prevent the negative thoughts from coming?
Okay, so first of all, we should ideally avoid using term depression, because I think a lot of people would use this term into a very frequently to comment on somebody's low moods, right? So definitely depression is something that has a clinical categorization. If the person is in depression, we need to understand that that person has lost hope in life, right? So he is feeling, or she is feeling, worthlessness, hopelessness, helplessness, that nothing can happen, no good can happen now, I am worthless, and there's nothing that can help me, right? So it's completely cut off from the world, and they don't want to do anything. So for that person, first of all, the person would himself or herself would not want to do anything, right? So the family support is extremely important, and also support from the organization perspective. If they know that the person is suffering from something like that, the support from organization is also important. But first of all, the family needs to understand and do small little things. First of all, take a proper treatment and clinical evaluation. Keep the treatment on. If it is medication, then do not stop any medications of any kind of sort without doctor consultation. Extremely important. Secondly, there are a lot of other alternate therapies that are there for depression. There is a color therapy, there is sound healing therapies that really helps in meditation. So for example, I'm just giving a very small random example. When people are feeling low, right? And if you listen to some heavy metal, yeah, blurring sound, those, those wedding kind of a music with a lot of beats and up, it will it will suddenly boost up your emotions, because the sound has a clinical relation to your emotion and chemical in your brains, right? So sound therapy is something, another alternate medicine that I would recommend, and is very, very effective. The third is, Bach flower therapies that can also help in depression. These are all non-medicinal, right? So these are something which is not taken inside. So these are alternate therapies. So sound healing is something, Bach flower therapy is something. We can also look for, therapeutic interventions like massages. Massages also helps boost, people in activity. Physical activity is something that is very important in depression, because the moment you start dancing or doing exercises, endorphins releases a little more, right? So apart from medicine, those are the things for a depressed person that can help boost his treatment plan apart from medicine. I would not say stop medication, but take your advice of your clinical, treating physician or treating psychiatrist, and only then you can add on to. Slowly and gradually, you probably can, the clinician may decrease the medicines, but we can add all of this together with that. Right? And how to improve emotional quotient and spiritual quotient? As again said, the first step is awareness. You have to create awareness, create enthusiasm in your employees, talk about how it's going to benefit. A lot of people say, okay, meditation is, we should do meditation. Why? How it is going to impact, how it is useful. If you answer these questions for the new generations now, they will definitely, they are very intelligent, they will pick these up. Right? So I think awareness, creating and doing it with you, walk the talk, and I would say.
Yeah, there are no any more questions? I don't think there are.
Dr. Deepa has one question in the chat box.
So I cannot see actually.
So she's saying,
Or
in
is
depression
it
along
in
with
Q&A?
medications, etc., what else need to be done in order to prevent the negative thoughts from coming? Dr. Deepa KH in the
Yeah,
chat
I
box.
read that. Yeah, that I read. Yes.
So as I said, there are a lot of,
Yeah.
as I said, there are a lot of alternate therapies that we can do for depression. Apart from medication, I would not comment on medicines, because I'm not a psychiatrist, and I don't have the authority to say anything on that. But apart from that, as an alternative medicine expert, I think there are many fields that can help it. So they can acupuncture, acupressures, Bach flower therapy. There can be sound healing therapies that can help with massage therapy that can help. So there is a lot of alternate therapies, but we need to understand the fact here is the depressed person will not get up himself or herself to do this. As a family, we will have to support them and help that person to do the same. We will have to align that for that person, push that person to do that, right? So very important, the person we have to do it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Also, we wanted a little more expansion on the area of fostering wellness, how to foster wellness.
Okay, so for wellness for ourselves or for other organization?
Both.
Okay, so foster well-being, you see, as Dr. Parul said at the beginning, we probably know.
I think Swati is having
I
some
think my network has gone off.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, now you're audible.
Okay. As a backup, I had put it on my mobile also. So, okay. So when we talk about fostering wellness for ourselves, as Dr. Parul very correctly said, right? She said that we probably know most of the things, right? As a doctors also, we know everything about this. The only point is that, am I taking the ownership of my health, making a choice The choice is only yours and only yours, right? So very quick things that we can do for foster wellness is one, first of all, taking care of your mental resiliency. Emotionally, we need to empty our glass every day so that we have space for deal with more stresses in life. So stress is always there, it cannot be zero, right? So we have space to have a mental resiliency. Second, when we have our stress in control, we also need to take care of our physical well-being. When I talk about physical well-being, and I am sure every one of us are doing an annual health check where we understand what is my current cholesterol level, what is my HbA1c going on, what is my thyroid, what is my liver parameters. To my surprise, liver has been another thing which is coming up these days very, very heavily. And a lot of people are facing a lot of parameters in liver issues, especially in the lifestyle of job and people who are working, right? So first, emotional. Second, physical. Once you're emotionally well, you will take care of your physical well-being. If you're emotionally and physically well, then you can also move out socially. So you're also socially well, and you can, you take care of your social well-being, your friend circle, your family, and you as we know that we are social animal, we can't stay alone. And fourth, of course, I will always believe intellectual wellness. I think creativity creates a lot of well-being in our lives. Something creative that you would want to do it for yourself. Either it's reading, or writing a book, or is it doing some painting, or it's listening to music, or creating music, or something, or learning a new language, or adding a certificate in your career. Right? Learning and development of yourself is something comes under intellectual wellness. So I think these are certain things that keeps you upfront in well-being and overall well-being. And when I talk about spiritual wellness, and I think what I always do is my secret. Before I sleep, I look at a very positive motivational video, and before I get up in the morning, I look at a some motivational video in the morning. And that makes my day, because I'm starting a day with positivity and I'm ending my subconscious with a positive thought. So I think those are certain things that we can foster wellness for ourselves. And for organization, I think every organization will have a different strategy. As I said, evaluate your organization on wellness perspective, do a wellness survey, see what is the requirements, and then strategically place a program.
Thank you, Swati, on this also. Any more questions? Or
Yeah, I'm Dr. Dulera. Because of the pandemic situation in this basically last 2.5 years, most of the people have developed this alcohol and then drug addiction also, along with the depression. So can you highlight basically how to overcome the people who are addicted to alcohol, and then that is the increase basically during the lockdown and then during this pandemic situation? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I think this is another very, very important psychosocial problem also, because I think socially also we would want to kind of get into these habits, and it becomes slowly and gradually becomes an addiction, right? So I think when we talk about substance abuse, a lot of organization, in fact, we are planning smoking cessation programs. So first I talk about the organization part of it. So a lot of organizations are planning smoking cessation programs, which is like hand-holding employees. First and foremost, again, I would come back to back and say awareness. And especially with the smokers, I think every smoker knows that smoking is injurious to health, right? But we need to understand the fact that what is the behavior? Is it emotional smoking, or is it just the habit, or they are smoking with the coffee because the coffee gives them a kick, or is it the first cigarette of the morning? So first evaluate oneself and the organization, or the bunch of people that you have and you want to create a program for. A very simple questionnaire facts from can help you understand what is the degree of person's addiction to that substance, right? So first evaluate if these conditions are definitely impacting. Smoking of course does. Even one single cigarette can create problem. Then you need to evaluate what is the degree, and then for self and for the organization, you can have and plan a smoking cessation program, or you can also help them with de-addiction tie-ups that can be done for the organizations. But first and foremost, creating an awareness on the same, how it can be impacted, and what are the reasons behind this, their attaching or attacking to their this behavior. Is it emotional? Is there any stress related issue? Because until there is a stress, they will not be able to quit, right? Or they will not be able to reduce this thing, right? So you have to create an emotional attachment with the family. So for example, we did a lot of therapeutic intervention for people who have, especially with the children. So if you look at a lot of smokers, they never smoke in front of the children, right? They emotionally have a connect that they will not be able to, or don't want to smoke in front of their children, right? So we need to understand each individual is different in this case. As an organization, as I said, you need to evaluate, create, give them facilities so that even from the 10 people, if one quits, that's a success for you. At least you're changing somebody's life.
Okay, thank you, madam. Thank you. Thanks.
So there are no more questions in chat box. Anyone else wants to talk?
So
Or
thank you, Ms. Swati Chawla. You have, in fact, raised a diversity of issues. And we exactly wanted these diversity to come in on International Women's Day. Because women by nature are very highly emotionally intelligent. I would say they have the resilience as well. And emotion and resilience together define women as a generic term, I would say. And that helps men to make their life better. I think that we wanted to highlight today on International Women's Day. And I must say, together, Dr. Parul herself and you have, synergistically, we brought out very important issues. And I'm grateful to Dr. Parul. She's in Sri Lanka at the moment. And in spite of that, she agreed. She's on a holiday, actually. And she agreed to, inspire. That's how women are defined. That's also a reflection of resilience. I'm grateful for both of you to come on Enoch Daily Connect webinar. And this incidentally will go on YouTube and it'll be available for posterity. So it'll live forever. And congratulations again on Women 40 Under 40 Award, BWLP. Great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks all the participants. We will close the session here. Thank you, Swati, and keep in touch.
Yeah. Yes, same here. Thank you so much. Thank you for the wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.